News at 10 starts now.
Here tonight, if you're out toasting to the new year, think twice about getting behind the wheel for the ride home. Let's get straight to Fox 28's Tara Morgan, live in Mobile Track with a warning from state police tonight. Tara? Yolanda, they're calling it the miracle in Cleveland, and why not? And then the line of the storms inexorably moving through as we knew it would, the derecho. And yes, the McGoldrick sisters couldn't help but feel that fate had cheated their family out of the honor. You're walking along, your feet go out.
Oh,
like that.
jeez, oh, please.
The added weight could damage the sculpture.
Miley Cyrus is single-handedly bringing this once great nation to its knees.
Hey, Bob, can you hear me?
There he is.
I can, Andrew. I can, Maria. I can hear you just fine here. I'm trying to maintain a running pace.
The Harmony Project is the diversity of Columbus in full voice. Led by a voice you can't ignore.
Oh, snap.
Thanks, James. Days after police say a Wendy's manager had a gun pulled on her during a robbery, they charge her for the heist. ABC6's Lisa Rondelet joining us now live in the newsroom with this unusual twist. Why the manager's out of a job and behind bars tonight, Lisa? A huge drop in temperatures. Chief Meteorologist Bill Kelly warned you about this winter blast that's coming, and it's going to get, we're basically going to be a frozen hell here next year, next week.
Meaning tomorrow.
Well, if you don't want to be dramatic about it.
No, I don't want to overstate it.
Okay, there you go.
Nice sunset, by the way.
It isn't a night.
Take cover immediately because that's going to be coming back very shortly, Bob.
Yeah, storm hitting right now. Thanks, Andrew and Bill. Marion County. Marion, Tom Bosco there. What a different scene that is from 5 minutes ago.
Experience it there yourself.
Yeah, that scene really does say something, Tom. It is very impressive on television. You can see that rain is really being whipped along. I don't care what your sensor says. I don't think you've got 19-mile-an-hour winds there. That's sustained above 30 probably. Bill Kelly wants to go back quickly here in the First Warning Weather Center to deal with this tornado situation.
What a busy overnight, guys.
I have to tell you, it really has. It's, we're moving up on 10 hours of continuing coverage here without a break. Dana, thank you. And it really has been a most remarkable weather day from the setup earlier in the early shows through these storms popping up, intense storms popping up to the north and east of the Columbus area up until about midnight, and then the line of the storms inexorably moving through as we knew it would, the derecho. And now, as Dana said, a rain event for a lot of folks. Scuba divers got more than they bargained for in a recent excursion in Mexico. A pod of 20 killer whales coming straight for their boat there, and when the boat took off, the orcas played in their wake. Wow. Divers say the whales followed their boat for about an hour. True story. I was diving off of the coast of Vancouver Island many years ago in a place that was rich with wildlife in the water, and they say if all of a sudden all the wildlife clears out, get out of the water quickly.
You clear out too.
So I'm down there and there's sea lions swimming around, the seals and salmon and everything, and all of a sudden nothing. So up we go, and coming at us is a pod of killer whales. For 20 feet, I was Michael Phelps. For 20 more feet, I was Jesus. One person running on the water.
Just running across.
Bob Kendrick also live in Cleveland tonight, just outside that home on Seymour Avenue where those 3 women were found. Bob?
Yolanda, they're calling it the miracle in Cleveland, and why not? Absolutely shocking news that these 3 women found alive after nearly a decade of being missing inside that White House there with the red trim behind me on Seymour Avenue here on the city's near west side. Since then, almost 24 hours ago has passed, and it has really become a beehive of activity here. We're looking at investigators coming out of the house at regular intervals here with evidence that they're collecting on the scene here right now. It looks as though they're towing another vehicle out of the back. They've already taken a Jeep Cherokee out just a little while ago with Ohio plates on it. So obviously the investigation very much underway at the home of Ariel Castro. We'll talk a little bit more about the scene here in a moment, but first we want to take you back about 24 hours to when that 911 call first came into police, and they descended here on Seymour Avenue. The person on the other end of the line, Amanda Berry. And since then, Ariel Castro has been arrested along with his 2 brothers, Pedro and O'Neill. Charges could come against them tomorrow. ABC6's Lisa Rondelet also here in Cleveland tonight, continuing our team coverage. And let's get the investigation from you, Lisa. What's the latest on that?
I attended the press conference today, and I have to tell you, we are learning more about Ariel Castro from neighbors, from family members, and we'll bring that story coming up at 6.
All right, we'll look forward to that, Lisa, and thank you. Oh, such an emotional time for family and friends, really for the city here with the discovery of these three women in the house. One of the families who really kept the flame alive for their missing loved one was the De Jesus family. Their little girl, 14-year-old Gina De Jesus, disappearing 9 years ago. And since that time, I'm told from folks in Cleveland that the mom kept the vigils going, kept the word out there, always kept up hope, never lost hope. And our Tara Morgan continues our team coverage now. She actually had a chance to speak with the De Jesuses today, and obviously they're celebrating. Theirs is an American tragedy, but there is some peace in the final chapter. When Colonel J. McGoldrick's bomber crashed while on a secret mission during the Vietnam War, he left behind a wife and 4 daughters in Columbus. McGoldrick was listed as missing in action for nearly half a century until September, when his remains were finally recovered in Laos and identified. ABC 6 News was there in Washington last Friday when his daughters finally got to say goodbye.
4 little girls, you know, without their dad. It just pulls on every heartstring, I think, that anybody has.
Day after day, they've arrived since October.
This is her second one because the first one broke.
Silver bands worn by strangers who long ago promised to keep Colonel J. McGoldrick's memory alive.
He said he got his bracelet at the Ohio State Fair in 1985.
Each one returned, now a reminder to Mitch Guess and Mari Petrucci that their father is finally coming home.
We've been on a roller coaster for 45 years.
At last, the final moments are here.
I'm so mixed with emotions over the grief and the fact that we've finally gotten to this point.
And now has come the moment for Colonel McGoldrick's daughters to do their duty.
I want to honor him in the best way that we know how.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this repatriation ceremony, this celebration of life in honor of Colonel Francis McGoldrick.
When I think back on these times,
being a McGoldrick girl meant living a countdown with an unseen end. But end it did on Friday the 13th.
Amen.
With the Capitol below and the Air Force Memorial soaring above, the sisters have come to Washington to complete the arc of their father's life.
The brief 40 years that he spent on this earth, which ended 45 years ago today.
This is a ceremony that Mitch has poured her soul into organizing, and it's also the first ever celebration of life at the memorial.
It is truly a day of celebration.
Grandkids who'd only ever known their grandfather as a story, a legend, now bear his casket.
One of my sons said to me, he's more alive now coming home in a casket than he was ever in their whole life. Right. Because they've known the story, and now they're going to get to see what a hero's welcome is.
bring him home, bring him home, bring him home.
Half a mile as the crow flies from the Air Force Memorial is the final resting place at Arlington.
Arlington holds about 10,000 funerals a year, roughly 30 a day. And yes, the McGoldrick sisters couldn't help but feel that fate had cheated their family out of the honor.
It's a little bit of a jealousy. You know, you feel left out, and you feel like, why can't that be us? So many heroes are there, and our father finally will be there too.
With a show of breathtaking precision and gravity, the Air Force has made sure the years spent waiting would end in the most reverent manner.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
McGoldrick will not be buried alone. Cancer claimed his wife Jackie at age 47. She's been here since 1980.
To be able to put them together in the same grave, his casket will go on top of hers. That's just such a blessing to have them together again.
And remember those bracelets.
We're going to collect all of these, and we're going to put them inside the casket with our father's remains.
Mm-hmm. They need to go in a special place with a special person.
45 years to the day after leaving them, Jay McGoldrick's daughters have only fading memories of their father. But here, in the nation's most hallowed corner, under the bluest of skies and the brightest sun, they have one final, crystal clear moment with him. A gift as treasured as the ones on each of their laps.
Absolutely.
We have the end to our story.
The gift of an answer. At last.
I would say we have absolutely gotten our answers. We got to bury our father with honors in Arlington Cemetery.
Mitch and Mari tell me that the end of their father's story finally allows them to do something they have never had a chance to do before, and that is grieve.
Yeah, no doubt about that. What a great story. And they finally can put some closure on this and give their dad the honor that he'd been missing out on all this time.
You know, they used to, when they were just youngsters when he went missing, and they used to go to school, and they felt they were kind of the plague children. Nobody wanted to ask them. They were that family who had lost their father in the war, and then they still bump into kids from elementary school now in their 50s, and they wondered, what happened to your dad? Did you ever get answers? And they can finally say, yes, we know where he is, and he's buried now with honor at Arlington.
Oh,
nice.
Good for them, yeah.
Time now to meet another ABC6 On Your Side champion, and maybe you're watching us tonight from the comfort and safety of your easy chair in the suburbs. Well, now, sell your house tomorrow. Move into a crack house in a troubled neighborhood and become grandmother to all the area kids, just like that. Grandma Cindy can show you how.
This is a totally different world than Pickaway County and the suburbs. You know what he ever says, I want to move to a bad neighborhood and bring in all the kids.
That is exactly what Cindy Gremling and her husband Dan have done. Bring in the kids for Saturday morning at Grandma's house.
We sing songs, do activities, do crafts, just give them a safe place to come.
An oasis, just like Grandma's place.
They've made the comment that it smells good and there's always something to eat. That's what a grandma's house is. That means awesome.
Cindy and Dan could not have imagined this 2 years ago, living comfortably in rural Pickaway County. But after helping to start a women's shelter in the city, Cindy was approached by a friend who wanted her to do the same in her late parents' home. Cindy said yes.
I did not realize that the house was 1/2 block off Parsons.
And a wreck. But Hazel had lived here for 53 years, and Cindy was determined to make Hazel's a house of hope.
We try to show them something different. It's the essence of what a grandma is. We are making a difference.
It's worked so well, the Gremlings are currently remodeling their 4th house of hope.
Hubby and I are kind of like pilgrims. So we've moved 4 times in the last 2 years.
You like your life more now than before?
Absolutely. I think this was what I was created for. She's got you a treat.
A world away from the comforts of Pickaway County, the Gremlings are restoring hope.
Once you're here, once you see this,
one house at a time.
You can't pretend this doesn't exist.
So all kids can know they're never far from Grandma's house.
It's a labor of love. And I am just naive enough to think that love makes a difference.
Once Cindy and Dan rent a house, they start the program anew. They staff it with former volunteers, the house they're leaving, and they're now interns. They work 9 to 12 months, welcome the kids in, and then they move on to the next house. As I say, they're on to their 4th one now in 2 years.
So each one stays open. It's not like they close one up.
Now they have 4 operating in the city. And she has 11 grandchildren of her own.
And you say she's got a new child of her own. She's a new mom, too.
Somewhere just a little north of 50, Dan and Cindy have adopted one of the kids from the neighborhood. So they have a 3-year-old, Freddie.
Wow.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Freddie, oh,
yeah.
That's sweet. Good people.
Great little boy.